Hey Kim, okie doke. So here is your past life spread. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at where you were, what you did with the majority of your time there, an important day with relationships and feelings, another important day down here with relationships and feelings, and we're getting the death card over here, the lesson card, and hints of time throughout, okay? So all I'm going to do is relay to you the imagery and impressions that come through, and your job is going to be to try to make connections where you can, based off of what comes through here in your current life, okay? And I'll try to help however I can. Just keep in mind, there's a couple of ways to make connections, okay? So there's direct ways and opposite ways. Direct connections are whatever comes through here. You can connect with directly of what's going on in your life or how you feel about something, that kind of thing. Opposite connections is when something comes through here, it's kind of the opposite. So a good example would be a lot of times we get people who die of smoking, right? So they'll come back into their current life and they just can't be around smoke. They're allergic to smoke. They can't stand the smell of it because it killed them previously. So you see what I mean? So just keep your mind open and ears open for that kind of thing. And so let's begin. What I'd first like to start with here is the idea that we are looking at a very strong individual, and that is not always the case. So we're looking at someone who is strong in body and mind. Also, I feel emotionally, and I feel like this is a product of the environment, and not strong as in has to be strong in order to go through trauma, but strong as in raised because the people are strong. And when I say the people, this feels like we're going into a native community because here is the Americas card. So where we're going is the Americas. That's north, central, south. And I got, I want to say a heavy pull towards Central America, and it feels like wherever we are in Central America, this place is heavily forested. Like the people here, it's forest. And I want to say this aspect that we're looking at feels more than anything would be what we would consider female, feminine, but the strength in her and all the people, it feels almost like it really doesn't matter. Except for, you know, when it comes to like making children, like the gender doesn't so much matter because it feels like everybody plays a role, but the roles are all strong, strength based. Like it feels very much like what they're showing me is the female aspect, like this woman who is live, like she's like all muscle, but not muscle like not like steroid muscle kind of thing, but like she's very lean and live, like very lean muscle, like it, like just yeah, that's, you know, like no body fat or whatever. So we're looking at that, and then she has like something like on her that she would use either for hunting or finding resources or even possibly defense, like a weapon. But there's something that she always carries with her that makes her feel safe and secure, that she has been brought up to utilize for whatever purpose that it's meant for. Now, the connections you could be making to this so far, for example, one would be if you've ever been pulled towards Central America. Central America, but it's more like if you were to Google the natural landscape, and almost I want to say if you were to Google where it is the most heavily forested in Central America, where today, I mean, I don't know if they have deforested it, honestly, based on, you know, from this period of time till now, but if you go ahead and Google that, and there is something there, go check it out and try to find photos of it and see how you feel about the land, the place, when you look through a photo, because photos hold energy. So that is how everyone or anyone can tap into a place through a photo, or a person even through a photo, if you've ever heard of that, and pick up the energy. So if you feel pulled towards it, that's what we're looking for, is a bit of a pull, an emotional connection, a trigger of some kind, a familiarity, a comfort, a desire to visit, that kind of thing, right? So there's that connection. The other connection would be the idea of Native American. I guess we would call them Native American, but I feel very much like this is before the time that America was America. It feels like we're going back, like, and it's funny because I just got a reading where I said pre-colonial, and it feels like that, but it feels even further back than that, where there's no footprint of foreigners yet. It doesn't feel necessarily like what we would call ancient times, but it certainly is before anyone came and started building up the North America or the Americas in general. Okay. So the connection would be Native Americans, the community aspect of it, because what we're looking at here very specifically, this community feels like they travel. It feels like, not that they travel nonstop to new places all the time. It feels like there's a kind of a seasonal movement where, let's say they spend summer here and then it's time to go and pick up and move over here for winter and that kind of thing. So we're looking at methodical seasonal movement, but it's mobility nevertheless. So this could indicate, and this is what we would consider kind of a small community. To them, it's probably a healthy size, back in the day, but today it would be a small community. And so connection to Native American, indigenous peoples or history, if you've ever been pulled towards that. And by that, what I mean is, if you watch movies like The Last of the Mohicans, or, where there's a native tribe, but it would even be like movies where it'd be where like white man wasn't involved at all kind of thing. But if you ever get that, like, there was a movie that's coming to mind. I can't remember it took place, I think, in South America, and it was all indigenous, native. They even, it was subtitled. I think someone, who was it? Someone produced it. I want to say it's like Mel Gibson produced it or something like that. But if you go and look and try to find that, that's the kind of stuff. So if you watch movies like that, if you feel pulled to it, if you don't watch movies, that's fine. But if you were to watch a movie and you kind of like allowed yourself to resonate or like feel out, like just like kind of sit there and feel what it would be like to be there kind of thing, like put yourself in that mindset, see how you feel, see if it's familiar or comfortable or something you feel like I can do that, or that feels, that seems interesting, like a pull. We're looking for a pull. Okay, so then we come to the idea of the connection about the idea of community. How do you feel about community? Are you someone that likes the idea of being rooted down, knowing your neighbors, just being in a neighborhood? This feels like you'd be someone who likes the idea of being in a neighborhood, almost like, I want to say, a gated neighborhood, not to keep people out, but because it defines parameters of who is part of your tribe, right? Your neighborhood. So if that is ever something that plays in your decision making, is the idea of like knowing who is in your vicinity, or if you've ever had that even out of just like a habit, like, I want to know who I'm working with, I want to know who is in this building with me, I want to know who is in this auditorium, like you like to take a look around and observe and just kind of see everyone that's there and almost like see not the diversity, but the diversity, like you like to and if not, that's fine. This all has to resonate with you. But what I'm getting is, from this community aspect, it'd be someone who just like would like to know who's around them at all times and be aware of that. This actually also brings up this little thing where it's like, if you are someone that likes to know your exit routes, like if you go into a restaurant, you like to know the exit routes, or you like to be someone that is able to sit and observe. There's a certain seat you sit in. What's it called? Like when you go into it's considered, like, I hate to say this, but because I can't think of the word, but it's like the alpha seat or the man seat or whatever, where it's the seat at a table where you get to observe everyone coming in, and you know what I mean? Like your back is like you put your back to a wall, not to other people, if that makes sense, to be the observer. And if not, that's fine, but that's just what's coming through. So another thing would be, in this community, the idea of mobility. So one, we did talk about a direct connection would be if you want to be rooted down in a neighborhood, you like the idea of a permanent home, this is my home forever kind of thing. The other opposite connection, but also kind of directly tied into the movement and mobility, would be if you are someone who is able to change well, but just needs a little bit of planning. So maybe not a spur of the moment, spontaneous jump up and let's get going kind of thing, but like, for example, they moved with the seasons, so they knew, like they read the sun and the stars and the weather and all that, so they knew when they needed to begin to pack up to head out kind of thing. So that might be where it vibes with you, where you are someone who you don't mind going and traveling and moving around and, going to places, but hey, let me know a day beforehand so I can plan accordingly and get, make sure I have everything I need. Or even just like give me a couple hours, like, but you just like to have that little bit of planning to make sure you have everything you need. This can also indicate, honestly, like random little things, like a connection to the idea of seasonal change. You might be someone that loves seeing the seasons change. You might be able to even, your body might adjust to the seasonal changes, because it feels like these people, they lived according to the natural seasonal cycle, right? So you might be someone that finds that like in the winter, you just like in the winter, your body or your mind has a certain feel to it, and then the summer, like you're very tuned to the seasons, if that makes sense. So that would be a connection, and again, if not, it's fine. So basically everything coming through, if you resonate with it, great. That's what you want to look for. If you don't resonate with it, you want to tuck it in the back of your mind just for another time, because sometimes these things come up in like weeks, months, a year later kind of thing. So that's just what to do with, you know, information that might come through that you might not resonate with right away. Okay. So, so another connection we want to touch on here is the idea of the imagery of the girl, and they're showing me she looks youthful, at least. I don't know. It seems like these people age well, because it feels again like they're very lean muscle, like lean, like no fat, very healthy people. And so how you might connect with this would be almost like, I want to say, lean muscle. There's something about the diet. I want to say, maybe either you know or you don't know, if you have any food allergies or sensitivities, and it specifically has to do with fat content versus muscle content. And it's almost like, I want to say there might be either one, a habit or a food allergy or sensitivity that plays into the role of body fat on your body versus muscle. Almost like, I want to say it would take okay, so basically, okay, here's you might connect with the idea of, if you are someone that likes organic food, lean meats, greens, just of the land kind of thing. If you go towards that kind of thing, that would be a direct connection. An opposite connection is if you came back into this life and you are just hooked on sugar, artificial things, processed foods, because this is an experience it feels like you haven't ever had before. So if you find that there is, so we're looking at food allergy, but then we're also looking what feels like food addiction. So if you feel like there are any addictive qualities to what you are eating, and what you are eating that you might be pulled to is artificial in the long run, what we would consider artificial, like not organic, not of the earth, not lean, like that kind of thing, that would be an opposite connection. And this would be a message for you, if anything, if that resonates, to look into the idea of, I want to say, like, well, it really doesn't matter. It's more about like health. So it's like, if your health is important to you, I would, if you haven't yet, consider getting tested for food allergies and sensitivities. If there's something about your health or body that has, I want to say, has plagued you, like like a chronic something, like something that has plagued you that you just don't know what it might be, and maybe haven't thought of a food allergy, that kind of thing. So just consider that, because there's so much stuff now. It could be soy, gluten, dairy, salt intake. It could be all kinds of things that, if you are not feeling your best in your body, if you're not feeling best in your body at this time, then this is coming through as a message for you to focus there and to do what you can do to figure out what is bothering you or your body in the way that your body is being bothered. So you would know this. You would know if you feel bloated and you don't know why. That's where you want to, okay, maybe there's a food I'm allergic to. If you get headaches and you don't know why, and you might write it off as, oh, it's just a long day at work or stress. No, it has to do with your diet. So there's something that might bother you on your body, in your body, that I feel would have to do with the food allergy. So just get it checked out if you haven't already. Nothing to worry about. It's just like, hey, you want to feel better? Go take a test. like try it out. And you don't even have to go and take a test. I mean, that's the easy way, but you can also do trial and error with your own diet and your own food. And I'd be so curious that if you just decided, if you were not like, if you weren't into the organic lean meat from the earth kind of thing yet, I'm not saying vegan or anything, because I'm saying like lean meat, you know, fish, that's fine too. But I'm saying if it'd be interesting if this were the case, that if you tried going on the diet of the indigenous people here, like again, organic from the earth, lean meat kind of thing, just getting rid of all that BS that they put in the food kind of thing, I'd be so curious if that would improve like anything bothering you in your body at this time. And it might, if it resonates with you, I would totally try that. And if it doesn't, great. You might be already like full on into the organic thing. I don't know. So, but that's what's coming through for here. So keep making connections where you can. When it comes to this card, I'm trying to think if there's anything. They did mention, okay. Also, this person is like very like, it's like bronze skin, dark hair. If you've ever had an affinity for that look, it's this. Like, it's this look. It's very, it's earthy and it's earthy and almost like, I want to say it's very pretty, graceful almost, but it's really interesting too. Again, so this energy too, we do need to talk about really quick. I know we have like a bunch of cards to go through, but usually we start kind of for a while on the first card. We do want to talk about her energy of being like, she's a female and there's feminineness, I guess, about her, but it's more about like a balance between masculine and feminine energy. And that, again, it comes down to the community and how they viewed the gender roles, and that she was partaking in the what we would consider masculine roles of like hunting, resourcing, harvesting, whatever it was. So that also you want to connect to see if that is something about you, like how you feel about gender roles and how you feel about your own energy when it comes to, were you a tomboy growing up? Do you feel like you have masculine traits? And I say masculine because like, it's normal. It's just like masculine as in like outgoing and aggressive and forward and opinionated. And when I say aggressive, by the way, that's not bad. That's like going after what you want. But that's what we consider more masculine traits. So if you found that you have a balance of masculine, feminine within you, it would follow suit with this person. The opposite connection would be if you are leaning heavily towards one or the other energy, masculine, feminine, in this life, but more than anything, it feels more like there's a balance to it. And then the idea of carrying something with you for security's sake. So if you have an issue in your life when it comes to your own security, if you carry pepper spray, if you have a concealed weapons license, or at least want to, if you've ever thought about it kind of thing, if you like the idea of having like keeping something that you can fend off people with you, like I want to say like, a pocket knife or something, which I know sounds random, but like, it's just something like if you like the idea of feeling secure or having an item with you that makes you feel secure, but this can also, because this was a physical security, this can also translate to you in this current life as emotional security. So this could even be something you might carry with you or have with you, that gives you emotional security as well. It can be your stuffed animal from childhood. It can be a blanket that someone made for you that they passed away and you'll keep it forever and you just love it. It's your security blanket. Just anything like that. So we're looking for connecting regarding anything that you might have when it comes to your own security. But this does feel more like security of my persons. So keep connecting where you can with that. We're going to the next card. Now, this is the life of leisure card for what you do with the majority of your time. The reason why this is popping up, it's not because you're laying around all day doing nothing. Like we just talked about this girl, I say girl, but she's like very capable. She's not like a child. But there's something about her that's very, very short and small. So again, so you might have come back in this life being short and small, or you might have come back experiencing height and largeness, which is in opposition to this body, because it keeps coming through as like just how freaking tiny this thing is, this creature girl. But we're looking at leisure because it's life. Like this is going to be an interesting message coming through. It's that she never worked a day in her life because she was busy living. So her life revolved around her life's work was to stay alive. So in that way, there was never any work to get done in these people's eyes, because how they perceived it was, this is just our daily living experience. And I feel like this is coming through for you, kind of like to try out a new mindset, perspective, perception, or affirmation by waking up every day and trying to see through the eyes as though I don't work. I'm having my life experience. And this is not to say, like, if you're unhappy at work, this will help you move through your day easier. Even if you're not unhappy, if you're happy at work too, it's just it's a great and cool perspective that will ease any kind of like burdensome feeling of having to do work, if that makes sense. And it's almost like also a message of, if you are unhappy with your job or with work, whatever it is you're doing, that if you are feeling pulled to do something so that your work becomes more like a lifestyle instead of like a 9 to 5. I don't know if you do 9 to 5, but like instead of a 9 to 5, you would work for yourself, do your own, run your own business, figure out a way to be your own boss. Make it so that when you wake up, from when you wake up to when you go to bed, it's just how you live, but it's also a way that you're also making money and living off of it, if that makes sense. So if you are playing with any ideas right now about doing something where maybe you're starting your own business, maybe you start your own, I don't know, what keeps coming through is a consulting. I don't know if that is something. If that is something, don't disregard that this is coming through. It's something to look into, even if it's just, if you're at the very first step of a dream, of a possibility, of an idea, don't just let it slide. This idea coming through, there's a message of if there's an idea plopped into your head that you feel has the potential of bettering your life, I want to say more emotionally than anything, don't let it go and think, oh, well, what a interesting idea, but Like, ideas are consider ideas coming to you as kind of little gifts that are granted to your space because you've reached a vibration that has pulled in the idea for a purpose or a reason. So if the idea excites you, look into it more. Don't just disregard these ideas. Even if it at the moment might seem impossible or like, how am I gonna, do that? Don't disregard it. So just consider that, because it's like it can be a life of leisure. It can be a life where you feel like you're never working a day in your life. If you're doing what you love, if you're doing not just what you love, because even when you do what you love, there's still technical stuff that's boring and like businessy, right? But for the most part, if you're doing what you love, it does not feel like work, and it makes all the other technical stuff seem like, well, that's fine because I get to still work for me and do what I want to do, and you know what I mean? So just consider that and keep making connections where you can with the leisure card. I'm trying to see what else. And it's also the idea that it's going to feel natural. Wherever you're pulled will feel natural. If you are looking to expand your horizon, so to speak, it will feel like a natural step to step into. Which I guess makes sense if it is like, we'll just go with the consulting thing. That would feel natural because you would be consulting about something that you already know about. So let's say, most people before they're a consultant, they're working at a normal, I hate to say normal, but 9 to 5, job, working, learning all the ins and outs. And then the natural next step, if they were to want to work for themselves as a consultant, would be to consult about everything that they know about, that they've been learning about all those years, right? That kind of thing. So just consider that. And yeah, so keep making connections. And we're going to go to the first important day. So this is the Wowzer card. And it usually means like a surreal moment or something like an aha moment, or there's something just interesting happening that has never been seen or thought of before. And the relationship involved with the Wowzer card is the soul group card. And the soul group card, this immediately feels like it's the community, your people. And this otherwise a soul group, it's usually like your tribe. And I feel like that's coming through because, okay, so again, you have to resonate with this. So I feel like this is coming through because right now, if you find yourself in a transition period when it comes to being surrounded by toxic energies or people, this is an excellent time to take it as an opportunity to learn to cut ties with toxic people. Because what's happening is when you're allowing toxic people into your vicinity, and toxic people does not mean that they're like full-on a-holes. Like, it just means that they are toxic to you, which can just simply mean that they just don't vibe with your energy, but they're not bad people, you know? So but when you cut out these people from your life, when you recognize this energy just doesn't vibe with me, you know, like they are discouraging or they're not encouraging or they don't make me feel good or they make me feel drained after I see them or that kind of thing, when you cut ties and you kind of dispel them from your energetic space, you're creating space inside of you. And what does that do? It creates space to allow your tribe to find you. And I feel like I'm saying that, I get huge goosebumps because I feel like people from this tribe, like from this life, there's at least another person from this community that is looking for you. Like you're looking for each other. I'm getting very emotional right now as I say that. So that is very indicative to me that there is going to be someone that you are going to meet very soon. And if you haven't, you might have already brushed energies with them, like a new friend you just made, whatever it might be. This is that person from your tribe and you're in the same soul group. And it's emotional because it's a reunion feeling and it's really beautiful and wonderful. And it could be male or female. It could be a best friend or a lover. It don't put labels or parameters on this relationship, but this is tribe. This is someone that is going to make you feel, it's going to make you feel just at ease being yourself and not judged in a safe space. And they may feel familiar. They may feel so comfortable right away, so at ease right away. Trust it. If we've been taught that sometimes, like, that's like, you know, you can't trust that right away. Like, you know, like test out people, and it takes like, you know, you don't know someone until you know them for 3 months or a year. You know what I mean? And that could be true as well. But here it feels very much like, I want to say, trust your gut with this person, and it's at least one person, but I feel like it would be the first of many coming in to fill the space once you are able to let go of other people that may no longer serve you. And honestly, a lot of people don't realize that, you know, you could say like, oh, well, you know, it's quarantine, or, you know, I'm not, you know, 6 feet, I'm not seeing anyone, and there's no people around me. But this is people you're on the phone with, that you feel like you have to pick up the phone and answer. And like a lot of times this is family members and you have to learn to, you know, not pick up the phone, or if you have to keep ties with people like family members, if you feel like you have to, you don't have to, by the way, there's no rule, but if you feel like you have to, you're allowed to put parameters on that relationship, like, I can't speak with you until next week, I'm busy until Sunday, I'm busy, you know what I mean? Like, put back, like, learn your boundaries when it comes to toxic people. Because you really do deserve to have people in your life that just freaking get you, that speak your language unlike you've ever known before. And I mean, and you might have a best friend, and that's, you know, that's one of them, but I feel like what we're looking at here is someone new. Either just met them or they're coming in hot. But you need to cut ties. You need to create space in your energy field for them. Because when you have all the toxic people, it kind of gunks up the energy field, and the signals are not being sent out to the right people, to your tribe. So just consider that. Sit with that. See how you feel about that. But let's see what's coming through here. So the feeling card, this is a bit of a depression, kind of like melancholy, we'll say. It's more of like a melancholic card. So I want to see what's going on here. Okay, so this is interesting. This is indicating a season where you feel almost like you're out of body. This aspect of you feels like she's out of body in a way where she's going through a period of introspection and observation of her life and the collective people around her. So it's almost like if she, like maybe she lets someone she trusts, like a elder or whatever, know about it, but it doesn't feel like she's sharing it. It feels like she's going through something. One of those times in our lives where we are going through a phase of something, we feel like something is changing within us and there's a transition, and it's the kind of thing where the Wowzer card comes in, because this is a leveling up of, I want to say, it's almost like she is feeling herself grow in wisdom and maturity. And it feels very visceral in a way where it's not like how a lot of people look back and they're like, wow, I've really grown up these past 5 years, or in the past year alone, wow, I've really wisened up. It's not like that. She is in real time. She is like, it's a very odd, it feels surreal. It feels almost out of body. It's a when I say moment, I'm saying a prolonged moment, because it feels like a whole season kind of thing. But it's this moment in time in her life where she is literally feeling herself grow into a new version of herself in real time. It's not common. And this could very much, this is for you to connect with however you can. But this would speak of, in your current life, you going through a transitionary phase where you're starting to perceive your life and life around you in a different way. Almost, I want to say, in a higher mindset kind of way. If you've heard of spiritual awakening, and maybe you've already gone through yours, maybe you're going through, it doesn't stop, but where you are awakening to certain truths, not just about yourself, which brings up, might be bringing up some stuff from your past to heal and deal with, but also realizing certain truths about the way the world is run, the way that your life has been run. Maybe even understanding how there has been a lack of control over your own life in a lot of certain ways, even from childhood to now, where it might be the idea of like you playing a certain role, like the good daughter or the good sister or the good wife or the good this and the good, like a role, like, you know what I mean? Like a good worker, a good colleague, a good, that kind of thing, the good girl, that kind of thing. And going through this moment in time where you're like, what am I doing? Like, I don't really identify with this role anymore. I feel like I am so much more than this role, or I don't fit into this box anymore. If you are going through that right now, then you're exactly where you need to be and you're exactly on the right path, and don't question yourself too much, rather question outside of yourself, if that makes sense. So all the truths that you need, the wisdom, it's all within you. It's about uncovering it over time and remembering all that stuff that has been layered over with like society BS, telling you, no, that stuff isn't true, our stuff is true. So this is just really, this day is about, for your current life, it's about trusting your intuition when it comes to what you feel is true about you, your life, your desires, what you want, and also what you don't like and what you like what you don't want any longer. I guess we're also talking about, cutting out ties, like for example, the toxic people. You don't need that. Like, like people, it gets to a point where you're just like, why the heck am I talking to this person when they make me feel like crap all the time? Like, why? Or we're in a relationship and it gets to the point where you're like, I am being emotionally neglected despite having asked for needing reassurance from my partner. And like, how do I want to endure a lifetime of this? Because my partner's not going to change. They've shown they're not changing. It's been years. So what am I doing? Like that kind of thing. Like where you're just like, what am I doing? Like you realize you have all the power and control to make the choices and decisions that enable a reality that you are perceiving. So it's like, well, why don't we make some choices and decisions where my reality is way happier and smoother and more peaceful and more abundant and more emotionally fulfilling. And you know what I mean? It's like this is a moment where it's like the power of the self is realized. And I feel like I want to leave it at that, and you make connections where you can. But also, one more thing I do want to mention with the melancholic card, you're allowed to feel down, you're allowed to feel disconnected, you're allowed to cry, you're allowed to feel like crap, you're allowed to all these, things that usually people we're with, if they're not our tribe, they try to rush us through the process of grieving or the process of mourning or the process of uncomfortability with our lives, like in certain ways, because it makes them uncomfortable. So they rush us, they try to like, oh, buck up, it'll be better. Or, oh, don't worry, it'll do, like that kind of stuff is like, no. Take time for introspection. If you get depressive bouts or I don't like that word really, it's more like melancholic kind of thing where you're thinking and you're mulling over, like, like that kind of thing. Give yourself time, and if you are grieving never ends. If you lose someone, that's never going away. Rather, you're building life around the grief that you have sustained because it's a trauma. So it's like honor your traumas, honor all of your emotions, and don't be rushed through them. So there's just that. So just, make connections where you can with that. We're going to go to the next important day here. And the next important day here, this is the trauma card. Speaking of traumas. And then the relationship is the karmic card. And when we see the karmic card, that's, someone that we have karma with usually in your current life. This would be someone that it's in your current life, and karma can be good or bad. Obviously, there's no such thing as good or bad, it's all lessons and experiences. But these people are in our lives to help us learn those lessons, which is always a blessing. Even if they come in the form of what we would consider an enemy, you still learn lessons. So the feeling here is torn. Feel torn. Okay. So this day, this trauma, what this feels like is happening is, it feels like someone very dear to you, whether it's a blood sister or a best friend in the community, has a child and dies in childbirth. It feels like she dies from whatever it might be. It could be, like a medical issue. And it feels like you take on the role of the guardian of the child, just based on your connection with her, and that it feels like because I feel like she doesn't have anyone else to take care of the child. And I know it's like almost like, where's the dad? I'm like, I don't know. But for whatever reason, you take on the role of the mother, and it could be that this could be the community's, what do you call it, like rules? And like the rules that they have, like follow, like the traditions, where if you're someone's, actually it could be your sister, I don't know, but if you're close to someone in this way, and they pass, and you take up the role that they would have had as the mother, you also might have to be in union with the father person as well. I don't know, it does feel like there is something about it that is tradition, or something where it's like you kind of expected it if that were to happen. Like you knew this would be your role, but you didn't necessarily expect it to happen, if that makes sense. So what's coming to mind is it's funny, I just learned that, the best man in a wedding, I think what they said was traditionally the best man was there to step in for the groom if he died or didn't for some reason wasn't able to be at the wedding. The best man was chosen to step in for his place, right? So that's what it feels like here. It's like a tradition where you are stepping in for the guardian role of the child. The trauma is seeing your friend die. The trauma is being forced into a role that you did not expect. And what's interesting is it's you and that child is the karma. Like that's the relationship. It's the karmic relationship. There's also a karmic relationship with the mother who died because your souls made the agreement that she would pick that exit point to go so that you would assume the role over the child so that you and the child could have a life together as the mother-child relationship dynamic. And so this was, it feels like a 3-part contract, soul contract, karmic contract. And what it feels like is you assume the role of the child because it feels like in another life, it was opposite, where this woman that died, she took over the motherhood or the guardianship or stewardship, whatever, of your child in another life. So you're paying her back. So this karma, if it's coming into your current life, it would be it feels like hold on. Like a very cohesive friendship or something very cohesive where the burden is not on you. This person in your life, and it doesn't have to be a child, it could be a child. If you have a child and you feel this bond with them, and if you do have a child, this would feel like the child is not a burden. That's what I'm saying. It's like this person in your life will never feel like a burden to you. And if anything, they will help you. This could also actually be, if this, by the way, sounds like your mother or a grandmother or a woman in your life who has or it could be a guy, I'm not going to do that, but a maternal feeling where you can turn to them and feel safe. That's what this would be, because if anything, it would be their turn to kind of have that maternal guardian energy. It feels like there is a triangle going on here. It could even be if you have 2 good friends, maybe, or honestly, this could be the people that are trying to find you, the tribe coming in. But if you already feel like you have friends that are tribe, and specifically 2 other, if you are in a triangle of a friendship, and it could even be the kind of thing where it's like, don't limit it. I want to say, like, don't limit it to like 2 gal pals, like it could be like, let's say you have a husband or a partner and then he has a sister and you get along so well. Like, that's what we're looking for, is like this a triangular dynamic relationship where it's very peaceable. It's no jealousy. It is helpful, that kind of thing. If you haven't found that yet, or you can't identify with that yet, first of all, trust what comes to mind if people do come to mind. But if you feel like that hasn't come yet, then these people are coming in from the soul group that we talked about before. If you create space for them, it's all up to you. So that's what's nice, is you have control over this. So the feelings involved here is the Torn card. Obviously, you are stepping into a role that you do not even know if you can manage it. You never expected to even have children. There was no desire to have children, which in your current life, if you don't have a desire to have children, or even if you have children and you never wanted children, but you had children anyway, that would come through as well. On the other hand, if you want children badly, that would make sense too, as the opposite connection to this. But we're looking at someone who did not expect to have to step into a role. Now, it feels like that has come to an end, where I want to say in your current life, if you have had to step into a role that you never expected to, based on something traumatic like this, that would be like a lingering effect from this life. But more than anything, this feels like, if anything, you might carry a fear of having to assume responsibility in a situation that you don't want to be responsible for. And by that I mean, like, if someone has come to you and asked you to be the godmother to someone, you might have been like, I don't know, I mean, what an honor, but are you sure? Like, that kind of thing, okay? And this would be a message that you don't owe anyone the responsibility of assuming a role that will alter your life in a way that you feel would be a hindrance. That's not your job anymore. So don't let other people, one, keep you in a certain box, label you a certain way, or push you into an identity or role that you are not comfortable with, and in a way where it almost feels like you are powerless. that's not for you in this life. You're not supposed to remain powerless. If you ever feel powerless, that is not your gig. Like that would be a message right now for you to step into your power and do anything it takes right now. Just a baby step towards feeling more empowered in any way. And there's a lot we've talked about that can help with that. Cutting ties, even your diet. There's something very empowering about having discipline in that. Just all this, even honestly, what's coming to mind is like taking up a hobby that is like martial arts, or a hobby like archery, or a hobby like something where, because like they're showing me again this girl with the weapon, and it's like if you've ever wanted to try martial arts or something where you can yield like a weapon in your hand and be good at it, like fencing, you know, like that kind of thing. Just take a class. Just try it. Just try it. I just feel like it's just try it. And I feel like that is going to like propel you forward and give you a hell of a lot more clarity in regards to your next chapter or the path you're going down or whatever, is making sure you do the things that you are feeling pulled or urged to do or try. Yes. Okay. And the ideas too that we were talking about before. All right. So keep making connections where you can when it comes to this day where you assume guardianship over the child. This can also indicate if you have an affinity for children or if you feel protective over children, especially children in circumstances where they are neglected or abandoned. Now, you yourself might have come into this world picking a family where you felt either neglected emotionally, physically, or abandoned in some way as well. And that would just be a connection here, but it no longer serves you. So again, when you're aware of something like that, then you have the power to take steps towards self-empowerment in that way, where you choose to surround yourself with people and in circumstances that don't make you feel abandoned, neglected, or unfulfilled emotionally or physically in that way. Okay? It's all based on your choices and decisions. So keep making connections where you can. We're going to the death card. So this is the disease and illness card. So what's coming through immediately is it feels like there is a bacteria that spreads through the community based on something you ate. I feel like it was almost like during a season there was scarcity and you had to find new food, and it's almost like you might have like your people might have eaten fish from a river that was tainted by something, or ate like a mammal that had bugs in it, or there's something about it, and it feels like a lot of people got sick and basically died of food poisoning. And not everyone died, but it feels like a lot of people were sick for a while with it, but it feels like you did not make it through your bout of food poisoning. Almost like you got the very worst part of the fish or the food or whatever it was. And it feels at this point that you are what we would consider to be around, I want to say in your early mid 40s. So, but still very healthy otherwise, very strong and wise and like a very like astute like member of this community, but yet that it just got to you. It was poison, essentially poison, which is interesting because this to me would indicate a connection with what we were talking about, food allergies. So you might already know that you're allergic to certain things. It could be drinks or food. It could be certain meat. If you are honestly, I just want to say, like, if your body is not happy after you eat red meat, pay attention. Like, almost like if you're not aware of it, go have a burger and see if you feel uncomfortable, bloated, uneasy in your body, headache, dehydrated. I don't know, but like, pay attention. I want to just say, like, this is coming up for a reason. So if there are any health things coming up in your life, this is not like a warning. This is just more like a, hey, let's be a little more aware of the effects of everything that you put into your mouth. What is the effect of everything? Like, almost like I want to say, take a food journal for 1 week and journal everything that you eat, but not like for counting calories. Rather, like, be very aware of, like, if you're having coffee with creamer and it upsets your stomach, try dairy-free creamer and see if that is, you know what I mean? Basically the trial and error thing. I just feel like that's coming through now a couple, 3 times or so. So just, you know, just if that resonates with you, just something to consider. But that's the only connection it would make when we see like people poisoned by certain things or whatever, especially like unintentionally. We sometimes see that as, you know, allergies or sensitivities in the following life. If it was intentional, that would also indicate paranoia. But that's not the case here. So just, you know, something to just keep making connections where you can with that one. And we're going to come to the lesson, and this is the boundaries card. So this makes perfect sense. I feel like the main connection has to do with, creating boundaries, again, with the people around you, because, and this is also the environment, by the way, because really what it comes down to is creating boundaries, healthy boundaries against toxic energy. So energy, people have energetic fields, and environments hold energy based on the things that have happened in it before. Like, kind of like you hear about like someone murdered in a hotel or died in a hotel and their energy is still there. So that means the environment has an energy to it. So this is just, I feel like more than anything, this boundaries card is coming up to just be aware of when your energy field is affected in a way that makes you uncomfortable, and to listen to that, because that is literally your intuition telling you, this energy is not serving me. Like, this energy is not serving us, Kim. like if your higher self were to talk to you and be like, Kim, this really doesn't feel very good. Can we like not be here? Or can we not talk to this person anymore? That'd be great, you know? So just a reminder to that now is the time to create healthy boundaries. And yeah, it's hard. It's easier said than done. I get it. But you are going to thank yourself so much more looking back a year from now and seeing all of the healthy choices that you made for yourself and where you are because of it. And also who has joined your tribe because you decided to finally let go of people that are not serving you to allow space for the ones that just make your heart happy. So keep making connections with the boundaries card however you can. And yeah, so there is your past life. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're able to make some connections, and thanks for letting me read you.